I got two young men here. You guys from Philly?
Yeah, I'm from Philly, York. Born and raised, you already know.
Yeah, now, why don't you tell me, what's it like living in Philly?
Man, living in Philly, it's fun. It have its pros and its cons, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a dog eat dog world.
Yeah.
You gotta just be on point and do what you gotta do and mind your
Yes.
for real though. But it's from the city, I love the city. I'm from here, I'm born and raised, you know what I'm saying? And I rock with it. I'm happy on this city, you feel me?
Definitely.
I'm happy. What's right there, son? I'm happy on this city, you feel me? Like, I love this city, you feel me? You got good food, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's places you can't go, places you can go, you feel me? But you at there, bro, it's mind your business, yo, you be alright, though.
Right.
And I ain't gonna lie, I feel like they always support each other for real. You just gotta, like, really, like, show people you really don't you doing, you gonna support you.
Right.
You gotta show that, once you show it, then, like, everybody gonna support you back.
Right.
That's all it is about. I'm from uptown, so you know how we carry. We different. We stay fresh, stay clean. You feel me? Get money, stay out the way. You feel me?
All right.
That's all, man.
Thank you so much for participating on the podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Neoliberal Realm podcast. I am Ronaldo Mackenzie. That was an excerpt of an interview that I did some time ago with B. who was recently gunned down right after I interviewed him, right in that same spot where I did the interview with him, and you just heard him. He was gunned down in that same spot, I think the following day. But this episode is an excerpt of a lecture I presented onto a group on Pan-African and Caribbean thought, exploring the corner boys mentality within the Gen Zs and Gen X and post-millennial milieu. It is an interdisciplinary analysis utilizing anthropological, ethnographic methods and participant observation. The discussions form part of a wider study on privilege, power, position, and status, looking at how power and its strategies poses problems for progress and its effects on the changing human dynamics in society. The analysis provides an anecdotal and an initial understanding on the minds and behaviors of the Gen Z's corner boys, who seem to have acquired the 1% mindset of getting money, staying fresh, without having the usual hard commitments to wider society's values and morals to hold them back. It's all about getting money, staying fresh, living the dream. The systems and laws are beneath them and can be summed up in this motto: the law is not a shackle. This episode is entitled Get Money, Stay Fresh. Gen Zs and the 1% mindset. Get money, stay fresh. Gen Zs and the 1% mindset. And get money, stay fresh. Get money is important here. Not make money, but get money is very important. It's very important. That play upon word is very important. Not making, but getting money, and you will understand why as we delve into the episode later on. So I provide an initial analysis and an assessment to my students, and also make a comment at the end about Twitter and Elon Musk, who have slashed their staff in half since the Elon Musk takeover, after requiring them to work hours, thinking that they would be able to keep their jobs, which seemed to have been a strategy to get the staff to do 1 year's work in 2 weeks so that the layoffs wouldn't cost them any loss. They are now charging $8 per month to get and to keep a Blue verified account. This seems draconian and based on members' ability to pay, not on members' credibility and reputation, which Elon Musk had tweeted some time ago was based on privilege. Nevertheless, Elon and Twitter have turned around and is now doing the same thing. Only this time, they have changed the game and switched privileges from those who are reputable to anyone who can pay. Finally, we concluded with a brief discussion on Facebook and Meta, which has defrauded many digital creators out of their reels after promising that they would pay these members for their created and posted reels. Many video reel creators suddenly started to experience glitches with their accounts and lost access to their accounts and payments, and then were required to re-verify their accounts through notary and other requirements or create new accounts. But up to now, many creators have not been paid, and Facebook and Meta have not provided any public and substantial reply concerning the issue. However, they are now slashing staff, and just so you know, I was affected by that, and I've even filed a complaint against them because of this very issue some time ago, recently. However, they are now slashing staff due to business slowdowns. But business is bad for Meta. You know why? Because the platform is not user-friendly and has tremendous control over user accounts. Further, Meta has several security issues and kinks that needs to be resolved. And members continue to complain that they are not paid for their reels, and payout accounts are constantly coming up with error notifications. So it is no wonder that Facebook and Meta has to now cut staff given the downturn in revenue, as the company has lost reputational value among its Facebook fans. That's what's coming up on the Neoliberal Realm podcast. We will continue the discussion here. It promises to be exciting, it promises to be erudite, it promises to be esoteric and deep, but it explores some critical issues and requires a critical mind as we deconstruct life and explore the issues so as to serve the world today to solve tomorrow's challenges. Listen to the excerpt of this lecture coming up next on the Neoliberal Realm podcast. We'll be right back after these messages. Before we get into the episode today, I'd like to make an announcement. I'm working on a new book project about to be released and published by Palmetto Publishing. It's entitled Neoliberal Globalization Reconsidered, and it has a sub-theme which I will share later on, but it's entitled Neoliberal Globalization Reconsidered. It continues the study of neoliberalism but explores the global north, and will lead into the third book, Privilege, Power, Position, The Problem of Progress. Follow at www.theneoliberal.com.
I did an interview with B Dot, and B Dot is what people would describe as a corner boy, one of the corner boys, yeah, boys in the corner. Am I right? Boys in the corner. And he said, and I interviewed him for What's Life Like Living in Philadelphia before he was shot and killed in that same spot where I interviewed him. back of the of the deli store, the corner shop. But he said, make money, stay fresh. I'll never forget that. But B-Dot, he said, it's all about this. You know what I mean? When I asked him what life like is it about Philly, what life like living in Philly, he said, you have to stay out, you have to stay out of the way, know the people around you. And he said, but you make money, stay fresh. And he was all about making money and staying fresh. And many of these young men, these boys now, they are hustlers. They're hustling there. And actually, I wear this black hoodie called Armed with Hustle. But they are hustling. They are working. They are good. No sleep. I met this young man, and I was intrigued in the sense that, in an academic way, but trying to understand the mind of some of these young men who are working, but working hard to take care of home. And for them, home is important to them. Family, their circle, their family, their homeboys. Yes, that's very important to them. And as they make money, when they make money, they share it with their homeboys and with their family, and they protect their family. It's very important to them. But for them, they want to look fresh. Looking good is important. They look good. They want to drive around in nice, fancy cars. They want to look good and stay fresh. And they are making money. And they know how to make money. It's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. And as I said to you earlier, they do not have any kind of... So I'm not going to say that. Certain values don't hold them back because they don't necessarily subscribe to it in the ways that old-time or traditional people subscribe to it, so that it doesn't hold them back. They don't subscribe to, it's religious values, or really they don't, or even if they do subscribe to religious values, they don't think about it in the way that other people think about it. It is as if it doesn't serve them. It is as if they control the narrative in a sense. The principles of their faith, the Muslim faith, if they do subscribe to a particular faith, it's probably the Muslim faith. And it's quite interesting, but not in a very pious way. But morals and certain values don't hold them back, unless morals and values for them are created by a particular system that was a strategy to hold them back, to prevent them from doing what they need to do in order to get to the next level, while the other peoples are able to do otherwise. But if I was thinking about it some time ago, in terms of, and let's look at it in terms of global warming, and when countries were signing this Paris agreement or accord to limit greenhouse emissions and so on. Some developing countries and countries like China were still putting out emissions that far exceeded what countries had agreed to, so as to prevent further damage, so as to prevent global warming. But many of these countries said that they are already behind in terms of their stages of development, and post-industrial countries are way ahead. and now that they don't need that kind of industrialization, that they're asking where it won't allow them to limit that much emissions. They're asking other countries such as China and so on, and India and developing countries who are at a particular stage that demands a kind of damage to the ozone layer or global, which creates global warming. They are saying that they are not at that level, so it's quite unfair that those who don't need to do that anymore are asking them to participate and sign an accord that with others who are at a different stage that requires that they do that in order for them to come to the next level. In a sense, they're thinking about it. They are putting themselves at a competitive advantage using global warming. That's why many people believe that global warming is a strategy. It's a strategy used because people use it to now limit the competition. Those people, because those people who are who have an advantage, certain advantage, are asking those people who are at a lower level, who is entering the global economic globalization, the global market, and trying to get to an economic level where other post-industrial countries, where other post-industrial countries are being asked to sign an accord that limits greenhouse emissions, further limiting their competitive advantage. I mean, it's quite interesting. So if we think about religion in those sense as well, there's some people who are suspicious of religion, thinking that it is created and used to limit the masses. In fact, if you look in the Dark Ages, where the Pope was emperor, only the nobles and only the nobles and members of the clergy could read the Bible. The laity and the masses was given the name laity or laymen, which signifies idiots or people who were ignorant. But that was done, and when they tried, as I said to you before, when they tried to teach people to be able to read the Bible in a particular language, Latin, or when they tried to translate it in a common language, people were opposed to that. The status quo, the nobles and the church, they were opposed to that. And that's why you had the Reformation, where the breaking away of the church and the Anglican church came, the Protestantism came about. Protestantism came about because of that, because people were trying to privilege themselves. And Reformation helped to create that kind of universality of the faith. So that now people are, so that we're talking about continuing the conversations of privilege and power. It is everywhere, the strategy. But here it is. But this particular conversation started with some young men I've been observing over time in communities. We will have to have a deeper conversation about this because it is deep. But I've had an interesting opportunity where I am to be able to understand society. The job I have allows me to meet people from all walks of life. And as an academic, it's quite interesting. As you learn and interact and engage people and learn about life and society, and there is lack in certain communities, and certain communities will do anything will do anything, and some people create groups to do things, creative things, so that they can stay fresh, make money, stay fresh. Quite interesting. We'll have to continue this. Now, this is important. This is very important. If you guys were to study communities, and the community I was referencing earlier was the community Philadelphia, and if you let us study communities where there is high crime and violence, and especially black and black violence, black and brown on black and brown crime and violence, and especially you talk about Chicago, LA, Detroit, Jackson, we say that. So many of the communities where you have high crime and violence, and where you have a high concentration in pockets of black and brown people, if you are to study the educational outcomes, they are bad. And when you look at the curriculum and what they are being taught, it is basic, and they are doing everything to let some of our boys scrape through. But at the end of the day, dropout rates are high. And people, if you look at those who have GEDs to those who get a high school diploma, you will see a disparity there. Or people go through high school and they cannot get the high school diploma, so they end up having to get a GED. Nothing is wrong with that. I mean, it's many reasons. People, we have lack of stability within homes, and many of these communities are dealing with high levels of poverty. And so many of these young people, when they are left up to a life of gangs or a life of doing creative things. And I said to you earlier, there's the foundation and how they think about religion and the soft things that usually help to develop conscience is waning. We talk about social decay. But I say to you, they know how to make money. Many of the young people, many of the young men, they can't hold down a good job. They cannot. They said there is a study that shows, and I did an article that looks at how the world of work is changing, and Gen Zs are changing how we think about work. It started from the Millennials, and of course COVID and so on, which people want to make money and stay fresh, and everybody, I guess, is developing that 1% mindset. But it's quite interesting as you study society and you study communities, and the particular community I'm studying is in Philadelphia. And I am able to, and in a very anthropological way, and I'm able to, and in a very participant way, I'm able to engage people from various walks of life in Philadelphia. Those who live in certain vulnerable communities where there is high crime and violence, or where there is a lack of resources, and of course communities where there are, especially in more to the suburbs and so on, where there's a lot of resources, and where life is, when you look at life, it's night and day. The houses look dilapidated in some communities compared to others. It's just the social structure, the geography and the aesthetics of communities. It's how do you facilitate that mindset, a particular mindset? you visit certain communities, you see struggle, then you go and you see the need for help. Now society has always used these communities to do certain kind of jobs, but now we live in the 21st century with Gen Zs who do not want to work. They want flexibility in their lives and they want to make money. And of course, probably that's also driving the inflation. Inflation is going down, but it's still 7.7%, it's still high. But when you look at when you start to study, not study the population, but not just population, when you start to study who the new consumers are, as Gen Zs and post millennials and so on, and these people have a different mindset, they are also driving the behavior in a different way than how we see that, how we understand how consumer behave. And if you look at opportunities in communities, there are also opportunities to make money in communities. But these opportunities sometimes, for what Gen Zs want, and when you start to study their behavior, they know how to maximize and capitalize on opportunities, and if the opportunity does not carry certain value, they don't want it. Especially a young woman, I learned recently, there's a job that was paying over $19 an hour, and she said no, that's too low. She wants $23 an hour. And if the job can't guarantee that, they'll rather stay home. I'm telling you, that's how these Gen Zs are. But even beyond that, this is important here as I go deep in, as I share with you this whole concept of make money, stay fresh. That when you study human behavior, study the idea of making money and staying fresh is important. Now, yesterday and over the weekend, I had some chance. Well, yesterday I had an opportunity to interview several African American men between the ages of 18 and 43. These men are men in Philadelphia, in more North Philadelphia, and Germantown, Nicetown area of Philadelphia. And the population of question is the population, as you said, African American men between 18 and 43. And many of the men who are interviewed, they're not necessarily professional. They don't have a profession. They don't work in a professional setting. They have odd jobs and do other creative things. I had a chance to interact with about over 15 of them, and one of the questions I posed, some of them are into music, some of them are into other things, but one of the questions I said, did you vote in the midterm elections? And not one of them said yes. Not one of them even thought about the midterm elections. They knew that it happened, but they didn't think about voting or anything like that. And I also asked if they had voted in the general elections, and they said no, they did not vote in the last general election either. So there's still a large, of course, yesterday I heard a report that in Philadelphia, 4 in 10 in Philadelphia, 4 in 10 people voted. It was 4 in 10, so about just 400,000. I think they said 427 because Philadelphia had 1.1 million people, I believe. Philadelphia had 1.1 million people. And it was 4 in 10, so it's about just over 423,000 people voted in the midterms. So the people who I spoke with yesterday were among the 10 who didn't vote. So it says 4 in 10, so 1, 2, 3, 4 people voted. And then, of course, so 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 didn't vote. So I spoke to a couple of the group within the 5 to 10 that didn't vote, 15 of them. And when I asked them why they did not vote, many of them said it wasn't important to them. They're not thinking about it. They just want to make money and stay fresh. They are hustlers. The election is not important to them. Certain things don't hold them down. The election and political leadership and so on doesn't change anything for them. Because for them, it doesn't matter who is president and who is governor and who is senate. They're going to make money. They're going to do what they do. They're going to make money and stay fresh. It was quite interesting interacting with them and learning about their life. One young man said he didn't sleep for 2 days, didn't eat much, but he was working hard, making money, bags of money, making money, staying fresh. Interesting. This is an interesting study. People back after this. By the way, I must make a point regarding Twitter, which is quite interesting. Twitter has Elon Musk, since the Elon Musk takeover of Twitter, Twitter has slashed their staff in half. Now, just so you know, Elon Musk purchased Twitter for about $44 billion, and but before Elon Musk slashed the staff in half, he had them do 1 year's work in 1 week, because he knew he was going to slash them. He knew he was going to cut. So he had them work like a dog, work like slaves, work massive overtime hours for that first week of the takeover, first 2 weeks of the takeover. Then he cut the staff in half. This was all about making money. It has nothing to do with the economy. It has everything to do with making back the $44 billion. So in order to make the money, he cut the staff in half. And then he's also asking people if they need a verified Twitter account with the blue mark, which is usually reserved for celebrities and stars and very important people, politicians, so on and so forth, developers and so on, creators, journalists. Now he's asking people to pay $8 a buck after he had sent out a tweet saying how draconian and how privileged it is to get this blue check mark. And I had responded liking that tweet, liking that response, saying, oh, this is good. But now he's asking people to pay $8 a buck. per month to have and to keep their blue check mark, to have that verified account. So what that has done is that it has diluted the value of that blue check mark. So anybody can, even scammers and hackers can get a blue check mark. You just need to have the $8. Well, you can keep your blue check mark, Twitter. Okay, I'll continue to operate without a blue check mark. When you visit my page, Ronaldo McKenzie on Twitter, just type in Ronaldo McKenzie. It's already verified. Once you see the neoliberalism at the top, and you read my tweets and so on, and connect to the websites that's attached to my profile, that's verified enough. And you see the links that I post up of this tweet, of the podcast and other stuff that I'm about. But you can keep your, because what's going to happen is that those who don't have a blue check mark will have verified accounts. You're going to have more blue check marks now than so that if you don't have a blue check mark, you are part of the minority, and you become now and then you will become the new verified account, because everybody will probably have now be able to have that blue check mark. And by the way, isn't that draconian as well? So, or unless only those with money can have a blue check mark. That's what it has become. Having the blue check mark is all about money. Only if you have money, then you will have a blue check mark. If you don't have any money, forget it. So the verification of one's account is only dependent on the money you have to back it. Absolutely ridiculous. This is the Neoliberal Round Podcast. We'll be right back after this.
In closing, there's one new news that's in the news. It's about Facebook and Meta. And the Neoliberal Corporation has, we are part of that Meta. We have a Facebook account and we have Meta, and we are familiar with Meta. We work with Meta Business Suite. And just so you know, so I understand, and they have released the news that Mike Zuckerberg, Facebook, is slashing or cutting the staff at Meta. And this slash and this cut is affecting many tech companies. We had already announced this several weeks ago, this change in the climate. And you can check theneoliberal.com. You can also check the podcast, this show, for previous episodes where we discuss this cutting across the board. And we question this cutting as to whether or not it's a result of the downturn in the economy, or a result of wealthy billionaires and tech companies who are competing against each other to be number one. First and further, I want to also bring up a very important experience, and many other small business people and many other people who use Facebook, who I've spoken to, experience this. Some time ago, Meta, Facebook and Meta, through their Meta business, announced that they're going to be paying people for their reels that they put up on Facebook. And they were inviting people to create accounts and to post up video reels and so on, and they'll get paid. So I accepted that opportunity, and I started publishing reels on Facebook. And based on the viewership of those reels, you are paid a certain amount. So there is an icon that allows you to check your reels and how it's doing and how much money you're making. And I saw that I had generated almost $1,000, and it indicated that my payment, I can cash out immediately, or I can cash out at a particular time. So I indicated I want to cash out sometime in July. But close to July, my account developed some problems. Suddenly, I can't verify my account. I can't get into the account. It's not showing my reels. It's not showing my payment. It's not showing anything. I contacted Facebook and the Meta business through Facebook support and several other ways. Hundreds of messages back and forth, to the point I got frustrated and reported them to the FEC or the SEC and the Better Business Bureau and so on. because I believe it was strategy. Several other people who used the Meta Business Suite and who had signed up for the real payment also I understand, were not paid their money. Many people, hundreds of people, and many people that we've spoken to suddenly developed problems with their accounts, and Facebook was requiring them to provide verification and put accounts on hold, and you had to go to a notary, and a big headache, which I believe that it was some algorithm that Facebook had created. I mean, I don't know, but I believe that it was quite ominous. It was quite interesting that this was happening, that this would happen. And up to now, I haven't been paid. Up to now. This is not conspiracy because it happened to me. The fact that Facebook would invite you to provide, and now they're planning on cutting their staff in half, because of course, following other companies who are doing that in order to realize supernormal profits. In order to realize supernormal profits, as rich tech billionaires, their companies and themselves and their owners compete to be number one, the wealthiest in the world. This is the Neoliberal Round podcast. Thank you for listening to the show, and please send us your feedback and let us know how we can improve the show. Share it with your friends and your family, and visit us at theneoliberal.com or https://anchor.fm/theneoliberal, and you can donate to the show at anchor.fm/theneoliberal/support. And just so you know, just remember, just so you know, the book Neoliberal Globalization Reconsidered is in the works and it's about to come out. We hope that you will support it, and we'll have some more discussions about the book and what it entails. And it will be available again in all platforms and also in the Audible. Thank you for listening and being a valued supporter. And again, we want to give a shout out to our supporters and to our sponsors and donors, especially some of our top donors. And we want to say how we appreciate them. Mr. Winston McKenzie and Mr. Kenneth O'Connor. Thank you for your support. And Anchor.fm by Spotify for being a partner in this journey. This is the Neoliberal Round podcast, brought to you by the Neoliberal Corporation, serving the world today to solve tomorrow's challenges through our communication, which is to make popular what was the monopoly. What good?